How long did it take you to put that together then?
A grand old 2 minutes, mate. 2 minutes. And some of the guests that are going to come on are going to slag it off and rip into it. He knows I can see him laughing in the background. But listen, welcome back to West Ham United. This is our Gift of the Gab podcast, late show, stroke Christmas special, stroke review, stroke preview, stroke you name it. It's everything. Absolutely everything. Anything goes. Stel, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Yeah, we've got a bit to talk about. We've not done a couple of videos over the past couple of days and some stuff's been happening. And like we said, it's the Gift of the Gab and anything goes, but we've got guests coming on. People that are familiar with us, people that are familiar with them, etc.
Yeah, and I've got the cat disturbing me here as well.
Is that my background chat sorted, yeah? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, why?
No, it's just because I thought, yeah, cool, excellent. Right, okay, let's bring on the guests and we will get ready to rock and roll. So first and foremost is none other than DJ Russie B. My Hammer's 11. What's happening, sir?
What's happening is you've missed out the best Christmas picture ever, which was Raz Van Rat and Adrienne in a Christmas onesie. Why you've forgotten that, I do not know. That's it.
Because he's an amateur, mate. He's an amateur.
I am an amateur.
That's the reason why it took him 2 minutes to put it together, mate.
But that's because he leaves everything to me, though. That's why.
Honestly. Well,
Actually, do you know what? Here he goes. Just anyway, Russ, how you doing, mate? You okay?
I'm well, man. I'm well.
I love this game. I love this app. I love this thing. The power. You've got the power, though, still. You can just chuck me in and out if you want as well.
I can, mate. I can. And, you're worth being chucked out because, you normally come out with...
Anyway, let's get the next guest on. It's none other than the original, one of the originals. It's Dan. Dan, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good.
Yeah.
Very good. Just laughing at you mugging Bella for a start. And,
imagine him mugging me off. Can you believe
that? And the
intro,
to tell you what, you said 2 minutes. You sure you didn't mean 20 seconds? Come on, mate. Come on. You can do a better job, can't we? If you pick the phone up and you go, Dan, you can whip a little intro up, could you? Do it. Sorted. I'm at home.
Actually, Dan, you know what? I'm going to get you to do a new intro for me for my Sunday show, mate.
You have to ask, lads.
Do you really want me to give you some positive vibes still? I don't know why. I just quite like your little funkiness you've got going on.
What on my my intro?
Right.
My intro.
Yeah.
I like it too. I've got but it is amateur hour. It's all put together pretty quickly. Dan must probably look at it and go...
Yeah, Dan definitely spews every time he watches our channel.
It does what it says on the tin, though, doesn't it?
It does. Well, more than what Anton just put together just now. Good grief.
Pure and utter honesty.
Every time he goes, I'm going to do a new intro. You just go.
I've not changed the intro. I just keep it the same as. And listen, I quite like the funky tune we've got going on right now. It's getting familiar.
Yeah.
Baby, all I need one more chance.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
you do need one more chance, mate.
Listen, we did say we would come on and have a Christmas chat, etc. But we've got loads of stuff to talk about. Dan, before we do, fire over to you. Let everyone know the update on the channel, what's happening with the stuff you're doing, mate, and then we'll do the same with yourself for us.
Yeah, well, we're not doing much. We're supposed to be podcasting, me, Darren, and Luke. Obviously, you had me and Darren on recently, didn't you, Em? Which was pretty decent, but we haven't done a pod since. Life has come at us hard, mate. Christmas, COVID, the lot. So, yeah, we ain't been doing it. But we will be doing a podcast once a week on our Know the Score channel, basically. So, yeah, it's a bit of everything. It started as a football podcast, but now it's just three grown men having a laugh and moaning about the world, really, more than anything. You know what it's like. Me and Darren are dads now, so we've got plenty to moan about.
and no time. Plenty to moan about and no time.
Good luck, lads. I've been through it, seen it, done it, been through it.
Still's out the other side.
Yeah.
Still's out the other side.
So Darren's just had his second still. So he's got a 2-year-old and a 5-week-old now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's brilliant, man. That's brilliant.
I'm laughing.
It's all good news. He's laughing. Listen to him. Look at that evil laugh.
Oh, mate. I mean, because
you should get your cat still. Get your cat and rub it under your arm.
One of the cats is lying on Linny's lap, and I don't know where the other one's disappeared to. Oh, he's in front of the heater. There you go. Sunbathing. Yeah. Honestly, if you see the cat, it looks like it's the only cat I know that will just the only cat I know that will lie out in the sun. You know, cats normally go in the shade, in order to get out of the sun. Our little cat would probably sit in the sun and go, just give it to me and roast. Brilliant cat. Brilliant cat. Best cat I've ever had.
Make sure you go over and check out Dan's channel, Know the Score podcast. And then, of course, you've got Russie B, DJ Russ from My Hammers 11. You've got fucking everyone and anyone coming on, don't you? Really?
Yeah, got a good one tomorrow.
Oh, can you give us a sneaky peek or
a little one you told me about earlier, Russ?
Yeah, it's a good one. He's,
nice.
Right, okay, let's see if we can guess it. I'll give you some clues.
Oh, here he goes. Don't give me your images again. I can't handle those images, mate.
no, it's going to be a little bit. I could probably do that one. No, okay. He was part of he was signed in our promotional season, 2011-2012. Played the tail end of that season, got injured, he kept on getting injured that season, played the tail end, played the playoff semi-finals, playoff finals, and then sort of established himself in the first team for the next 2 seasons, and then he left in end of 2014-2015 season. And he's a lovely bloke. There we go.
2011-2012, so that is
Big Sam.
What?
Yeah,
Big Sam.
Big
Preston.
Sam coming in.
Preston game.
Do you want to give him?
No. It would be no. It's the.
Would it give it away if you gave him the position he played in? It would, wouldn't it?
Probably. Yeah. All right. Because otherwise it'll be all day. Because I know you lot. I've done my trick. He's a right back. He was a right back for us. Very stylish dresser as well. Always lovely turned out. Well turned out he was.
Why am I just totally gone?
Crap. Yeah. Because you're a Kilmarnock fan, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why. Well, he did play for Dundee. He played for Dundee after West Ham.
Played for Dundee.
What is wrong with me in my head?
He's,
Dan, do you know who it is?
It's
Guy Demel.
Guy Demel in tomorrow.
Do you know what? He was part of the. He was part of that. Was he not part of the window? The really we had a good window,
right?
Yeah.
Geek developed. Kent called him. Geek developed.
Did we not sign him on deadline day? Did you say deadline day?
On deadline day.
Did we not sign him with like 2 or 3 other players at the same day?
Yeah, he was a lovely bloke, honestly. Top buy. Yeah. So he's coming on tomorrow. So for the Christmas Eve edition. Well, we've already recorded it, but it's out tomorrow, so that's good. And then we got Dennis, and nothing Christmas Day. I remember the day off Christmas Day. Boxing Day, we've got Dennis from West Ham Way, which is our longest ever episode. He loves to chat, does Dennis. And then on Sunday, we've got Joe Seeley. So
as in Leslie's
son, who used to play in the youth team, and whose wife is a housewife of Cheshire, one of the housewives of Cheshire. I didn't know that until my.
Well, I didn't even know his son played in the youth setup.
Yeah, he was part of the youth team. So, and he was in the first team squad. Joe was lovely guy, really nice interview, top bloke. And also we talk about his dad, but we talk about training at West Ham, and he got caught short, and he got his injury. I think he got injured when he was like 21, and basically that was his career over. And then his dad died 2 weeks later, and then he just it sounds like a tragic episode, but it's really good. It's really good because it's uplifting. So yeah,
do you remember when Les Seeley actually played up front?
Up front,
he came on. That's
what I thought was going to happen against Chelsea. I thought Martin was going to play up front. David Martin was going to, if we needed anything.
Jesus Christ, anyone would have done a better job.
Well, listen,
me started.
Listen, well, do you want me to get you started, Dan? Are you ready, mate? Because while we're talking about forwards, and the rumour mill keeps going round.
Do not believe it.
He's coming. Arnie's coming.
Oh, nonsense. Telling you, man, honestly.
Hold on a second. Let's put the first question over to Mr. Dan. Dan, what's your thoughts, mate? Or do I need to ask you?
No, just no. It's the only time I've ever. Look, at the end of the day, I just think it's for clicks, personally.
Yeah.
I do think it's just for clicks on the internet. But if there is any truth in it, I, for once in my life, actually agree with the board. No, don't want him back. You can't bring a player back that left in the manner that he did. I just don't agree with it. I understand.
Do you think Moyes, like, again, the clickbait thing, we get that, but do you think there could be something in it? So, for
I understand
example,
Moyes liked him and he did very well, didn't he, under Moyes? But so I do get that, and I think that's where the link. I think that's where there's some credibility in the link, is that he was a bit of a favourite of Moyes, but I just don't want him back, mate. I just don't want him at the football club. He's a grumpy arsehole. And
well, the thing is, as I said to Anton earlier, is all the players in China are going to have their wages capped to something like £2.7 million a year. Poor bastards, which works out to about 75 grand a week, 80 grand a week, something like that. So that would be capped. So they're all earning big bucks. And of course, there's going to be an exodus from China. Players are going to want to come back. And where better to come back than the Premier League, because they may not get 200 grand a week or whatever they're getting out there, but they'll get decent wages. And of course, there are going to be rumours like this. But there's just no way it's going to happen, because we hear about the squad being really together, really a unit now, etc. And the stories were, when he left the club, was that he was toxic in the changing room, and there were stories came out that players were relieved to see him go. So there's no way Moyes is going to disrupt all that and disrupt the apple cart and bring him back. No way at all. I don't. It's what Dan said. It's clicks. It's clicks.
It's funny though, because you've got a fan base that seems to be, if you go by social media, seems to be quite mixed. Russ,
it's split real down the middle. It's really split down the middle.
Yeah.
Russ, where you at with it?
Do you know, as a player, in the same way that we differentiate Payet from how he left and how he played for the club, as a player, he is, and what the thread says, he is the ideal player in that position, in that formation. He was really good for us. And Moyes, he did the same thing to Arnie that he did to Antonio. Both on the wings. When he was at Bilic, when Bilic bought him, Arnie was floundering on that right wing. Brought him up front, said, "Stay up front. We'll throw the ball to you," and it worked. We know that we need a second option to Antonio. We know that Haller just doesn't work in that formation, to be honest. But I think someone said, as long as his brother don't come with him. But as a player, he's great. But as a person, we know he's a disruptive influence there. I know what Stell means about team spirit, but. Yeah, but maybe, I'm not being funny, you got to think the team Moyes had around him when he was last here to the backroom staff he has now. Do you think Kevin Nolan, Stuart Pearce will take any, or Kevin Nolan will take any crap as a team perspective from Arnie? I don't, because if he did what he did last time, personally.
That's a good point. I don't think they would. But it depends on the players that were still here when he was last here, how they'll feel about it. The way he left. Even Noble spoke about how toxic he was. And the way he left. Are the players who were here then going to go, all right, boss, we'll just do what you say? I don't know. I think it's too dangerous a risk to take. For what? And he's not going to want to be benched. He's going to want to start, and when it comes to Antonio, etc., that'll disrupt Antonio. I mean, as it stands, Antonio is first choice. What you're looking for, what Moyes is looking for, is a backup to Antonio, because he doesn't rate Allaire. And to bring Arnautovic back in means that Antonio might have to be the one that drops for Arnautovic. Yeah. I can't see it. I cannot see it.
I get the sentiment behind like people putting the stories out, etc., and clickbait, but there isn't, even without that, there is that kind of element of going, put two and two together and you come up with the result, and you can't help but think, and people make the valid point, right, and I know it's different because Moyes didn't leave under a bad way in comparison to Arnautovic, but West Ham have got, they'll bring someone back if they can add value. I looked on Twitter today, and I don't very often do, but when I do, I seen a comment that came in from our friend of the channel, Chris Akabusi. By the way, Russell, you need to get him on for your My Hammers 11.
Oh, yes, I've had him. You obviously
have you had him on? Yeah, I didn't watch it. Sorry.
Oh, they're mugging you right off tonight, aren't they? Right?
7,500 subscribers.
Have a word, mate. Have a word.
He was my 100th guy.
Well, you and I.
By the way, Russ, was he your 100th guest?
He was my 100th guest.
Yeah, you didn't just say that, did you? No, but genuinely, he wrote a comment on there, and he was saying that something about you. It's good to hate or good to have a disliking player when they don't play with you, but when they come back, something about forgiving and forgetting. And he genuinely believes that sort of player, if all can be forgiven and forgotten, could be the difference between West Ham progressing.
And how long would it be before his brother goes? Because this is all about, if it is true, if it is remotely true, this is all about his brother getting him that one last contract. That's all it's about. And the way the bad taste he left in the fans' mouths when he last left, his brother was smirking. You know, the way he went about his business, and we all thought that it was only his brother, but Arnautovic at the end was as bad as his brother was. You know, so it won't be coming back without his brother. His brother's looking for a way out. He wants to leave China, and they're looking for an easy target. Where else? West Ham has always been an easy target for players like this, and I think those days have gone. I really do. I'd be really, really shocked if it is remotely true. You know,
if he comes back though, Dan, how do you feel about it? If he physically,
Stel's already made the point about he won't want to be benched. And let's all be honest, if Antonio's fit, he leads the line because he's the most effective player in our squad in that role. Haller I don't want to be one of those people that says Haller's shit because I don't believe he is.
Yeah,
his stats and his goals and his assists for clubs previously tell you differently. He's not a bad player. He just doesn't fit our system. And unfortunately, I think that the whole project Haller just has to be scrapped. Move him on, even if we take a bit of a loss on the player. Because we've gone, our £45 million is a lot of money that we've spent on him. We're going to take a bit of a loss. You take a loss on him, we need a backup striker. And Arnie is not going to come in and sit on the bench. He just isn't going to do it. And if he does come in and it's on loan, then that kind of would help with what Stel's saying, though, with the whole brother trying to get him a last payday and whatnot, because he's not going to get the payday he would if he comes in on a permanent. What is he, 31 now? 31, 32?
Yeah.
He's 32, 33.
We're not a retirement home anymore. Moyes has made it abundantly clear he wants to sign younger players and build a squad full of younger prospects. And a lot of the stuff I read, it was Moyes that wants him. The board are not. What I was reading, Moyes likes him. Moyes would take him back on loan, but the board don't really want to push it through. So it's a weird one that Moyes has been singing all this, you know, the Leipzig model, the Red Bull model, all this sort of stuff. And it's like, we want a young team, hungry team, togetherness. And then on the other side, it's, let's bring Arnautovic in on loan, who will completely ruin everything that's going on at the minute.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I agree with like what everyone's kind of said. I agree with what Russ is saying. You know, as a player, yes, he was incredible for us and probably would do a very good job. But at the same time, on the flip side, I just think he would be an issue. And I don't think he'd be happy sitting on the bench. I just don't.
No,
I think I think I was talking with Stel on one of the shows recently, and we were talking about the age and the Leipzig model that Moyes is going for, the younger players, etc., etc. But then what we did suggest was that I think you brought up Marcello, didn't you, Stel, when you were talking about his age, etc. And what we were saying was, you know, there is a time and a place when you do bring in someone that is a little bit older with the experience, if they have got that genuine quality. And like, you know, I'm not saying that I want West Ham to sign him. I'm just being the devil's advocate to the situation. I can see Moyes is not going to sit and look at the fan base unless the fan base revolts so badly.
I think the difference, mate, is we're not desperate now. If this was this time last season when we were languishing at the bottom of the league or threat of relegation, you could kind of understand. You'd kind of go, I don't want him, but he'll probably do a job for us and save us, you know. But we're not desperate now. If there's one thing you've got to give Moyes the credit for, it's the credit for stabilising the team. And a lot of us thought he wasn't going to do that, and he's done it without having to get desperate. And for me, an Arnautovic signing is an unnecessary signing because we're not desperate for points. We've got 21 points. We're halfway to safety, and it's not even halfway through the season. And if we were languishing at the bottom of the league, I'd go, I hate it, but I understand it. We're not languishing at the bottom of the league. We're 10th in the table. We're doing really, really well. There's no desperation to bring someone like him in. We all know he's going to get Josh King in, which means that he's going to have his backup striker. So there's even less need to bring Arnautovic back. I can't see why we'd want to do it. We're not desperate. And I think it's a very, very different situation. If this was this time last season when we were languishing, maybe. Even then, I still wouldn't want him back, to be honest.
There's been a couple of times, though. There's been a couple of times in the last couple of weeks that I feel like Moyes has been making this time last season decisions. With the decision when it came to the first half, the decision to drop Haller and bring Antonio in against Manchester United, and obviously to do the setup that he had against Chelsea. And it was... for anyone that watched any of the previews the review show, we were actually saying that the Moyes team that was set up against Chelsea was a complete and utter 1 year ago Moyes team that we would have fully expected him to put out and then try and grind out some form of result. But we didn't, I felt, need to do that against that Chelsea side, because I felt like there was gaps opening up in the defence, there was opportunities for West Ham to progress, etc, etc. And it probably brings us on to a good point now when it talks about players like Josh King. We all know that he is a fan of Josh King. It's probably the worst kept secret, possibly, that he is potentially coming into the club. Russ, what is your thoughts on him?
Oh well, he's again. It's one of those things where we could have really done with him a few weeks ago, to be honest. But and probably by the sounds of it, by the time he comes back in, Antonio is going to be back on all final cylinders. Obviously, he's a great player, and he will fit. He'll be our number two in that sort of system. It's quite obvious, isn't it? As you said, it's something which we all know. He's very keen on him. He's quick. He's athletic, and that's the type of striker that Moyes likes. Someone who can run those channels and be that lone striker. It's pretty much nailed on, isn't it? Really, he's coming in by the sounds of it. So it's an improvement. Again, he's 29, something like that as well. So as I said, we're trying to get these younger players in, and to be honest, he's sort of getting on that sort of just getting on that bit of the hill on the way back down. So we'll get a couple of seasons out of him as a backup striker. And then who knows what's going to happen. But I just think he's a good acquisition. And if we get it done early, that's why we get it done. Get it done early in early January, because there's lots of games coming in January. And the sooner we can get him in, the better. And obviously blood him in, so to speak. I hate it when we wait to the last minute in the transfer window. And then you've missed 4 or 5 games where he could have played. I think it's a good shout, and I think it's pretty much nailed on, isn't it? Really, I think we all know that.
But Dan, when it comes to a player like Josh King, and we're talking about potentially backup, something we've said and we've been saying as West Ham fans all along is, rather than signing players just to appease people, is actually bringing in players that fit to our system. So therefore, removing the age from the scenario, does Josh King, is he not the sort of player that in theory would fit into our system because he can play it wide, let alone...
I don't think he will be able to play up front on himself as well as people think. I think he was more effective at Bournemouth when he had Wilson up top. And he played more as a deep line forward / winger. He played a bit wide. I get the signing. I do get the signing because he's got Premier League experience. Was arguably very much on form with Wilson that last season before they went down last year and the year before. So I do get it. He's only played 5 times for Bournemouth though. If he can't get in the Championship team, then what's going on? There has to be questions. Surely.
I think there was. I think there was an element of a mixture of injury. I think he contracted COVID. Right. I think he's played six games, I believe. I've checked it in.
Look, I like him as a player, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's going to be able to lead the line like some people think he's going to be able to. He'll run the channels, like Russ has said. He will run the channels, and he is a stronger lad, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to play.
I think you've just picked up on a good point, because he had Callum Wilson with him. So if you look at that setup, if Josh King comes in and he's not back up to Antonio, does that mean he thinks that Josh King can do a job with the likes of Antonio? And if that's the case, then why is he not doing it with Allaire and Antonio?
Yeah, totally agree.
Because when they were playing in the same team last season, when they were both fit and playing, they were complementing each other. And I think so. That's a really, really good point. I didn't even think of that, Dan. That Josh King is only good with another striker.
Well, Bournemouth were known for playing 4-4-2.
Yeah,
last couple of seasons, they were really known for playing a really expansive 4-4-2 formation, overlapping fullbacks, like really, really very good. Probably one of the more effective teams at it. You don't see many teams play 4-4-2 in the top division. Bournemouth did it quite well for quite a few years until obviously they got relegated, unfortunately. But I don't see it. And like you make a good point there as well. Still, you're going to bring a player in to potentially play a 2 up top, but you've already got someone who is screaming out for a strike partner. At the end of the day, for me, I still don't get me wrong. Obviously, the formation that Moyes has found is working. So you see, obviously, if you find something, you if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You stick with it. But I still don't understand why he's got pacey players like your Bowens and your Benramas. Why are they not being tucked in tighter? Because we're playing wing backs anyway. Why are they not being tucked in tighter? Bowen has clearly got an eye for goal because he always wants to cut in on that left foot. Take a shot. Benrahma would probably do similar on the other side, and it would be a very similar free to what he played for in Frankfurt at the end of the day. Or those inside forward/wingers, but they tuck in tight to the striker. I just think it'd be more effective. Might score more goals. You've got your fullbacks that are going to bomb forward anyway. Soufal has got such an engine on him. He's genuinely becoming one of my favourite players. And Masuaku, I know me and you still have been on him many a time, slagging him off. But to give him his credit, in that formation, he's been a very good asset. So, I just don't understand why. There's got to be that plan B. If you want to play them as wingers, that's fine. But then, if you're struggling for a goal, clearly Benrahma and Bowen are good enough to be tucked in and played.
I mean, the irony, I know we've been talking about, players potentially coming in, but the players we've got, and I know we're going to end up talking about Allaire sooner or later, is we were sort of beginning to get quite excited, weren't we? Before the Chelsea game, the last 2 games where Benrahma and Allaire were starting, and looked like they were beginning to understand each other's game, and you saw Allaire coming into the games more and more, and we were like going, wow, this could be quite lethal when we play Chelsea. And then boom, Benrahma's dropped, Allaire's up front on his own. Everyone has slagged Allaire off yet again,
and that probably and so on. And that probably highlights and I think we said this again in the review, the problem with the strength in the squad, because we were talking about it at the Crystal Palace game, and I was advocating it so heavily at halftime. We need to bring Lanzini on. This game needs a Lanzini, because if we see what we've saw from the slight appearances he's been given off the substitutes bench, he has been making enough of an effort for me to go, right, he's worth giving the shot to. He came on, he'd done a job against Crystal Palace, and I was then advocating for him to start against Chelsea.
The biggest shock with it, though, when Lanzini come on in that game against Palace, was that he played him inside in the cam. And that's his strongest position. A lot of people have, including myself, come down on Lanzini the last couple of seasons. But he's played out wide on the left. That's not his position. No. He's not going to do anything out there. What is he? He's no taller than me. He ain't a big lad. He's lightweight. He ain't going to do much on the wing. But when he's got time in that pocket, he's going to work teams. I was screaming for him to start against Chelsea, and unfortunately, he got a knock, didn't he?
He got a knock,
and he couldn't play. And then, Fornals is playing again. I'm sort of like, lads, I know we're probably going to talk about a lot of players, but does Fornals have nudes of Moyes? How does he get in the team every week?
No. Now, I mentioned this on Sunday. I think the thing with Fornals is also a central attacking midfielder, but Moyes is asking him to play a different game, which is taking his attacking prowess out of his game. He's telling the player, he's telling Fornals, I want you to be the engine. I want you to close people down. I want you to do this, do that. Don't worry about the attack-minded side of things, and Fornals is doing what
I just feel sorry for him out on the left wing, because he just doesn't have the pace to play out there.
But what Moyes is actually doing with Fornals is what he did with Lanzini last season, when there was a time and a place that Lanzini needed to be rested, and that feels like now for Fornals. That's nothing, no discredit to Fornals. Like Stell said, he's actually doing what he is told to do. He is working his backside off. But when we see the performance, say like Lanzini has been at least giving us and offering us a new something, you know, also sparking up a little bit of a partnership between him and Benrahma. They think the same. They have that quick thinking, this quick passing football. They want to penetrate defences. They want to push the ball forward. But when you've only got one of those players playing, then and you remove them and you put Fornals in there, you're going to get a totally different game. Fornals is suited to an Antonio type setup. Rather than the Haller type setup.
It might just be that I'm a traditionalist. I like my wingers to be fast, to get in behind, run at fullback, scare defenders. Fornals doesn't do any of that. I feel sorry. So, like, I've sort of semi-slagged him off there by making the Moyes comment, but like, I feel sorry for him because clearly he's a hard-working player and he's never going to be able to affect the game from the left. But surely Moyes must be looking at it thinking, yeah, okay, I want him to work hard, but if he's not affecting the game, how does he keep getting in every week? Because he does. Because other than that goal that he scored earlier on in the season, he hasn't really done much since then.
But I think that's the crux, though, mate. The reason why he's getting picked is because he's doing what what the manager's telling him to do. You know, that's the thing. You know, so the fact that you're absolutely right. Playing out on the left means he's not being creative enough. But Moyes is going, well, you're doing the job I'm telling you to do, so you'll start. You know, because there has been a lot of call for Fornals to drop out and Benrahma to play. You know, but the only reason why Fornals is playing is because he's doing exactly what Moyes is asking him to do. But that is taking away his attacking game, which is a shame. You know, because we know, you know, the sort of player that we bought, you know, last season is that, you know, we were all saying, how's Lanzini and Fornals going to play in the same team? They're too similar. But Moyes has changed him. Just like Moyes has changed other players to become attacking, he's changed Fornals to become less attacking.
It's funny though, because when you even remotely look at Fornals in before his time at West Ham, he is a completely different player. He's trying funky stuff. He's getting involved, but he's getting involved in a different way. He's becoming like I don't know. I don't want. He's not the same
midfielder.
Yeah, like a Gattuso. Like, but not a Gattuso. Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to say like for like, but it's a little bit like he's trying, because Gattuso was just a hard-working player when he, you know, and was getting stuck in. And Fornals is getting stuck in, and it's great. And we all know Moyes likes a player who works, works extremely hard. Russ, what are you thinking?
No, I totally agree. I think he's one of those players. I think what you lose when he's not playing, or he's not picked, is that sort of engine. You know, if you're taking him out and replacing him with a Lanzini, for example, in that three in the midfield, then you're losing a big engine. And as you said, that's what he's doing now. You know, Moyes has got him in. He's Moyesified. That's my verb. No one else can use that. He's Moyesified Fornals into this sort of more combative midfielder. Who will just run, and he will. But to be fair, I mean, you know, he'll miss a shot every game. He'll miss a good shot every game. You know, he's still breaking into the box. He might not be hitting the back of the net like we want him to, but there's still a little bit of. You see, there's obviously there's some impetus still to move forward as well. So, but for me, I like his energy. I do like his energy, and as you said, Moyes is bringing his team together of players who are just going to run for him, and he's one of them. And I think when he's not there, would Lanzini be that person and run so much? No. Would it be a benefit of the team to not have him in the team? I don't know, to be honest. He's one of those players you'd start with and then bring him off after 60 minutes.
If he was playing centrally, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
He's just lost out on that wing. That's all it is.
And I just want to quickly address this comment. It was probably a bad comparison, but the point I was trying to make is the point I was trying to make.
I was like, he was a defensive midfielder.
Yeah, mate, but that's the point. That's what I'm trying to make, is that it's like Moyes is trying to change a player to be something that he is not.
I tell you what, he's trying to make him become. He's trying to make him become the David Batty of West Ham. There you go. That's the type of player he wants. Well,
that's the same bloody thing as Gattuso, really, isn't it?
Gattuso was 100 times better than David Batty, mate.
But you know what? My point I'm trying to make to you is that he can work magic with some players in specific positions. He's done a good job before now, but then my biggest concern when it comes to West Ham right now is, and it's my biggest concern is, we don't have other. Oh God, here he goes. Oh, this is a good one. Gattuso is a pit bull, then Fornals is a Labrador. But the point is, like, we don't have maybe other options, and suddenly when we have when we've got, say, Antonio's not fit, it's taken us how many games to really get the feel and the vibe for Haller, and then suddenly we get the feel and the vibe for Haller, and then bang, and then he comes and he changes it, and this is my only slight concern when it comes to Moyes. He's become so consistent in team selections last season, and then he's kind of stopped being consistent. And when things are going, it's a two-legged whippet. When things are going reasonably well, he changes it up and makes a bit of a bizarre decision.
It was the most baffling team selection against Chelsea.
Yeah,
I think we all just sat there and went, "Is everybody injured?"
I was surprised we played as well as we did with that lineup.
Well, there's the irony, mate. We did actually play quite well. We certainly took it to them in the second half. We were well in it, but it was just an odd first 11. After the way we'd been playing the last few games and looking at Benrahma and getting quite excited about him and thinking this guy is going to start, really sort of like really getting to grips with the Premier League, and then he got dropped. And no disrespect to Noble, but he got dropped from Mark Noble. And I just didn't understand that at all. It took away all our speed in our counter-attack.
I said it straight away when I see the lineup still. I was like, well, there goes any pace in the team. We're going to struggle with this now. And I love Noble, I don't want to be sitting here, slagging him off. He's been an amazing servant for the club, but he shouldn't be starting football games anymore. He's at that stage in his career where, he's the sort of player that should be expected to come on for the last 10 minutes and shore things up. He shouldn't be playing 90.
Yeah, you're 100%.
Yeah.
And I think
he looked knackered at the end of the game. He
actually,
really
mate, Noble, with respect, Noble looked knackered after 20 minutes.
Yeah.
He did, though. He did, and we made that point. We made that point during the match, though, when we were watching it. We were going, I have no problem with Noble being part of the squad. I can see him being part of the squad for another couple of years because he can actually give us 20 minutes at the end of a game that we need.
I've got to put this up. If Moyes was in charge of D-Day, the invasion would have been delayed to 1954. He's too cautious.
With Noble's selection, obviously, if you listen to his video on the club's the post-match interview on the club's site, he did say he only found out on Monday in the morning that he was starting, which to me seems like it was always going to be Lanzini, and then Lanzini didn't recover from his knock in time, and so Mark was put in, and obviously they'd obviously put together a game plan with the three midfielders, basically central midfielders, and so. Clearly it was going to be set up for Lanzini, and then unfortunately with him taking a knock, then Mark sort of dropped in. But it's one of those things where, as you said, it was just a really frustrating match, and that's the first time for ages we've had a frustrating match where we played really well and we come out of it thinking, how have we lost 3-0?
Well, there was some weird decisions though, weren't there? Let's be honest. Some very strange decisions.
It seemed that the 2 goals we scored were apparently fine.
Mate, there was absolutely nothing wrong with a Bowen one. If your centre back is going down like Silva, then you've got issues. I got a lot of stick off of a few Chelsea fans on Twitter after the game, and my answer to them was, if you're happy with that performance, then get in the bin because you were shit. Because they weren't very good at all. Unfortunately, the game just passed our midfield by. We weren't quick enough. Pulisic, Werner. Abrams up top, like they got some quick players in there.
But Dan, on that game though, when did Abraham score his first goal? I can't remember the exact minute.
It was late on. It was like 10 minutes left, I think.
Literally, when we are in the 78th, 9th minute, we're still in that game, and he had options. We had one option on the bench, which would have been Yarmolenko.
My issue with the game though was goals change games, and there's nothing wrong with Bowen's goal. True. Right, it's as simple as that. So then you're 1-1. It's a completely different game. And with the way we were playing, I would have fancied us to push for the win more than Chelsea.
I agree. Yeah.
And that is a simple fact of the matter. Unfortunately, Well, this is sound like a broken record, but VAR is so big club bias. So big.
Still, before we go on to VAR, we need to give a massive shout out to, I believe, is this Neil from Down Under? I believe it is, and if it is, mate, happy 70th birthday.
Happy birthday, Neil.
Yeah, congratulations. Cheers, and if it's not you, Neil from Down Under, it's another Neil, then happy birthday to you.
The other Neil.
And anyone else called Neil, happy birthday.
You guarantee there's a person called Neil whose birthday it is today somewhere in the world. So happy birthday, Neil.
There you go. So on you go then, VAR. Let's discuss it because it's topical because two big decisions.
It's really funny because
Chelsea.
Earlier in the season, I said I'm not making any apologies for any VAR decisions that go our way because we get our fair share of bad ones. And the way our 2 goals were dismissed so fast, so quickly is odd. Because how many times have we sat there for literally 5 minutes waiting for them to make a decision whether a goal is offside or not? And Declan Rice's goal, it was a matter of seconds. They just went, it's offside, and that's that. And then there was footage that showed that Declan Rice was potentially onside, but more so the Bowen goal, as you said, Dan. The fact that they didn't even bother. Yeah, exactly.
And I thought, see, from what I've read, I thought they were supposed to check every goal.
Exactly.
If it ends up in the back of the net, I thought they were supposed to check it. Look at the state of him on the floor.
Yeah,
that's a grown man. That's a grown man, ladies and gentlemen, writhing around on the floor when he wasn't even touched. They are so embarrassing, footballers, aren't they? All that money they have.
That's experience. That is. He knew he was in trouble. Some said he tripped over his own feet or whatever. But he knew.
Mate, it weren't Bowen. Bowen didn't touch him.
Exactly. Absolutely. But this is the irony. Isn't that what VAR's for?
Yeah. Well, that's what we're told it's for.
Yeah. And I just find that really surprising that both goals were kind of dismissed so fast, and then, like I said, other games you're sitting there and you're waiting for a decision to be made because they're checking it, every angle, every this, every that, etc., etc. This one just like as if they couldn't be bothered.
Very strange, very strange in my opinion. And the third goal for them and all, I don't think should have stood. It's a bit of a 50-50 one, but if your goalkeeper gets clattered and he's out of the game, no matter how it happens, if your goalkeeper cannot affect the game, it's a foul. Simple as that.
Yeah.
He gets absolutely mullered by Pulisic. He can't get up in time to defend the shot that's coming his way. That's a foul, in my opinion. Yeah, but they didn't even look at that either. They dismissed it straight away because it's Chelsea. Like, the thing is, it might seem like we're just, 4 bitter geezers moaning about VAR. What you need to understand about VAR is it was put in place so that the teams that make the league the most money win football games. It had nothing to do with it being fair. It's just so that your Liverpools, your Uniteds, your Chelseas, your Cities, and so on, win football games because they're the ones with the biggest fan bases worldwide. They're the ones that make the Premier League money. And that's what I honestly believe. I do think it's just a massive fix to rig it for the big game.
It's like a lot of changes, a lot of decisions being made in football at the moment. It's all trying to favour the bigger teams. The whole thing about bringing 5 subs back and all that sort of stuff. And I joked on Sunday about now that they brought in the concussion subs, how many teams are going to try and take advantage of that? You've used your 3 subs. All of a sudden, someone goes down holding his head. And it's like, get a concussion sub on. I don't know what happens after the game. Because people were commenting saying, well, if someone's out for with concussion during the game, that means they shouldn't play the next game or next 2 games or whatever. It should be a rule in order to make sure it is what it is.
Rugby's 10 days, isn't it? Rugby's 10 days if they get a concussion injury. It's 10 days.
But I don't know if that's what we're doing in football.
It must be. They can't. I mean, we can't be involved in this. Such a big, organisation and bring in a rule like that and not have something set up to avoid that.
Football,
it's got to be.
It's football. I bet.
I know.
It's not being thought of.
That's what I was saying. Still, I read on. That's what I was trying to on Sunday. That I read one of the one of the criteria, one of the things they're putting forward. If a team has a concussion substitution, the other team can have an option to bring on a sub. That I read it was on one of the BBC website when they're talking about it.
I remember you mentioned that, and I was confused by that comment.
Yeah, that's what I read. That's what I read. That right. It's not. It won't favour a team if they do a fake substitution because the other team will have the option of a sub. I believe. Don't. That's what he said on the they do the analysis after they talk about it. But as you said, there will no doubt be something in place and protocol. You cannot. You can't piss about. Can't fuck about with concussion at all. And so Anton changing the thing. Very good. You only learned that today. About with that. So I'm sure there's going to be a protocol in place, a concussion protocol.
Are you all right, Anton? You having fun there, mate?
He didn't even know what was going on.
He's had a Bailey's. He's all right.
Listen, he's making a point here. Kent saying ref blew up for a foul on Silva, which means the game is dead. I thought so. VAR won't look at it, but I may be wrong.
The case, the ref needs sacking and all. But then we do have the worst officials in the world in this country, don't we?
But the foul leading to the goal was what, a second? So would that have impacted it? I'm sure I've seen decisions chopped on or chopped off because it's been in the same form of play. Is that what you're about to say?
Yeah, there has been stuff like that before. Well, Man United given a penalty after the full-time whistle had been blown.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's right.
This is the football world
because the decision was brought back from where the foul was made from before.
When it comes to penalties, that's the thing that really winds me up at the moment about penalties and attacking players and that bloody Fernandez and his little hop, skip and jump thing. Oh, it winds me up. All that it's because like
so I was talking about this funny enough recently, Russ, on one of the podcasts with the lads because there was a save that the keeper made that I thought was legitimately okay, and then they were like, no, they're going to retake it. Then the other penalty gets scored, and I was making a point to the lads that surely this whole stuttering and hopping and whatever, that's an advantage to the player because you're trying to trick the goalkeeper into second guessing where he's going to go. Surely the goalkeeper should be given the ability to at least step off his line a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, the striker, midfielder, whoever's taking a penalty, that's no more than cheating. No, the goalkeeper out of legitimately guessing the right way. And the thing that happens as well is when they make him retake it, the goalkeeper is so concerned about staying on his line that he forgets about the whole, is it right or left I got to go? Like
was there not a professional keeper that spoke out about the ability to...
Yes.
It's really in favour of... Who was it? Peter Cech? And he tried to bring science into it and all that sort of shit, but he was trying to explain that if what you're trying to do is give the goalkeeper not just a disadvantage but a dramatic disadvantage.
Yeah, massive.
Yeah, and it literally gives it's down to the player just to put it in the corner and you can't get to it.
For me, the goalkeeper should just be allowed to go anywhere inside that 6-yard box.
Yeah, that's what you said.
If that player can do some stuff, then the goalkeeper should be allowed to do some stuff, in my opinion.
And I said that to what's his face? Because I think it was someone on Twitter put up the Frank Lampard penalty save with Jimmy Walker's penalty save, and Jimmy was like, and I said, well, VAR they'd have brought that up, mate.
Yeah, they would have
in front of the line, and he went, nah, my heel was on the line, and we jokingly said that we should give goalkeepers clown shoes because obviously you've got like a foot, haven't you, at least a yard in those clown shoes. But it is ridiculous. I mean, I think Petr Cech suggested that the ref would draw a line, and between the goal, not necessarily the 6-yard box, maybe like 3 yards in, and that's their bit of, otherwise you've got to take a run back. You have to go behind the line to get some momentum, because otherwise you've got no full momentum to save it. It's not fair. It's not fair.
Because that is the thing. Goalkeepers don't just move left and right. No. Because there is an element of having to move forward to build momentum, to stretch and whatnot. It's a balmy role, in my opinion.
For me, I always remember it's like not so much coming off your line, but isn't it dive? Isn't it like the goalie making a big move forward or like a dive before the ball's kicked?
Yeah, rather than that's what they usually do. Yeah, and then
Yeah, so I don't know. It is odd, but yeah. Where's Anton gone?
Oh, he's had enough. He's filling up his Baileys. That's what he's doing. He's filling up his Baileys. This WKD. How many people used to drink this? It's horrible.
Oh, mate, I've never touched it. Never. What made you decide to drink that?
I was in the co-op, and I thought, do you know what? I thought I'd have a funny drink, and it was either that or Smirnoff Ice. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to get this because it's blue. Just looked quite funny, but yeah.
I was left with no choice but to drink that on my stag do, because we drunk the club out of vodka, and it was the closest thing to it, so we ended up on that.
I used to remember they used to do an Iron Brew version, didn't they? Anton will know that. They used to do an Iron Brew version of WKD, if I remember correctly. But yeah, this is horrible. But yeah, it's wet and it's blue and it's Christmas.
Yay!
I'm trying to remember. I've totally lost my train of thought there. What we were actually discussing. Was it gone? Can you not hear me?
Yeah, we can now.
We can now. Yeah.
I preferred it where it was a minute ago.
Yeah, all right, Dan. 21 points, 10th in the league. I mean, who would have thought it?
Job done.
Well, we're safe, aren't we? I mean, it's just a matter of now how high we can stay in the league, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's why, going back to, the choice that Moyes made against Chelsea. It felt like a backward, desperate step in a way, which is quite weird. But we're safe, aren't we?
Yeah. He's a funny fucker today, isn't he?
It is. Look at his name. Look at his name.
Yeah.
Come on, then, Dan. What was your thoughts on it? On being in the position we are, especially after seeing the.
Honestly, mate, I would take it. If you'd have said to me at the beginning of the season, with all the unrest we had in the summer, the board not putting their hands in their pocket, and it was we're going to be operating on a shoestring budget. Let's be honest as well, Moyes was not any of our choice. No one really wanted Moyes in charge. You take it, mate. It's unbelievable, really, the effort the boys have put in. It's weird though, like it's true West Ham way though, isn't it? We picked up results against teams we probably wouldn't have expected to. Like that run of games right at the beginning of the season, we all looked at that and we thought, Jesus Christ, we're going to be bottom at Christmas. And no, we picked up good points, mate. And the thing is as well, we're playing decent football. We're good defensively, which is nice to see.
Definitely,
which is something we've always moaned about. And
have we?
Is how awful we've been at the back. Even your favourite player, Oggy's been amazing.
But listen, no, at the end of the day, I've got to. I can always admit when things. I don't want any West Ham player to fail, and it was.
You can tell it's like the last, like Christmas, like when the last day at school at Christmas, and everyone you can watch a Christmas movie, you can watch Elf with for Stell, you can watch A Wonderful Life at school or whatever. That would just come out in the cinema for Stell, and that's it. You're all a bit like mob mentality. That's what it's like today. But yes, West Ham.
But when it comes to the defence, we've got to kind of give a lot of credit to the
Hammer of the Year,
backroom
Angelo
staff.
O'Connor. Admit it.
Listen, hold on a second. Let's watch
Angelo
this. 2
O'Connor.
seconds. We've got to talk about the backroom staff when it comes to the defensive decisions, because with respect, Stuart Pearce, since he has entered the club, things have changed.
Yeah,
we've got to pay a lot of credit to that. Thoughts?
Yeah, but I'd say that about all of the backroom staff.
I would as well.
All of the people that he's brought in, they're clearly having a very good effect on the team as a whole. When was the last time we actually see a squad this happy?
Yeah,
playing as a team, as a unit. They just seem to really love playing. For West Ham.
Yeah,
at the moment together, it's weird. Like I can't remember the last time we see a team this in sync and this in harmony. It's been a while.
They absolutely are.
They're playing for the manager as well.
Right back to the start of the show when you're talking about bringing an Artovich in, which is why it won't happen. Because you're absolutely right, Dan. We're happy that the team are happy. That they are in sync. They are in harmony. They're playing. Well, I'm not even saying they're playing out of their skin. They're playing with a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
They're playing with a lot of confidence.
I said to Ant recently still that when I come on and did the Man United preview, I said to him that, the sign of a good team is even when you're winning, when you're playing bad. So even when we had that run of 3 or 4 games where we didn't really put in that good a shift in a performance, but we still managed to come away with...
We got 9 points.
And, we nicked some points and whatnot. So that's a sign of a good team. The one thing I find really refreshing is how honest Moyes is. I love his honesty, and all of his press conferences, post matches, he's always honest now. Like last time he was here, I felt like he was saying stuff just to keep the board happy. But now, if we played shit, say we played shit, if he thinks we're unlucky, like he was honest about the Chelsea game.
Do you think though, mate?
Well, no cutting edge in the final third.
Do you think though he's being a bit, when it comes to being honest, he's being a bit too honest when he comes to talk about one or two players, because he, by all accounts, he hasn't been praising Allaire much, has he?
The trouble you've got with that one though, still, is some players like an arm around them and some players don't. Players are different, like you can have one of the, Alex Ferguson is seen as one of the best managers, as in football, but there were certain players that didn't like it. He didn't need to do it with certain players. Notoriously, he never had to do it with Scholes, because Scholes was just a consummate professional. Went out there, did his job, never had to put his arm around him. But Beckham, he needed telling how good he was all the time.
Yeah.
Like this. So Allaire, is he a confidence player? The trouble with Allaire, the situation we've got with Allaire, is he just doesn't fit the system, and Moyes is not going to be nice about a player that isn't going to fit his system, is he? It's a hard one for Moyes there, because it's like he's tried. I think Moyes has tried quite hard to work Allaire into the system, but it just doesn't work. So you can only try so many times before you have to give up, don't you? That's why I kind of said, like, Project Allaire, I think we have to put it to bed. It is a shame because there's clearly a very good player in there.
The irony, mate, we loan him out in January or we sell him in summer, he'll go elsewhere and he'll end up scoring a hatful of goals because a manager will play to his strengths. Yeah. I think a good manager, a good all-round manager, is a manager that will say you're going to do it my way, but I've just seen that, Anton. You're such a dick. A good player, a good manager is a manager that, will say, you play it my way, but it can also turn around and go, I will adapt according to what I've got. The one you just mentioned, Alex Ferguson. I remember, I know this ain't a Man U show, but I remember when Man United started getting into the Champions League on a regular basis, and they started off pretty shit, and then they got a bit better and a bit better and a bit better. And what Alex Ferguson ended up doing was he ended up having two types of teams. He had a team that played in the Champions League and a team that played in the Premier League. He adapted his players accordingly, and that was the sign of a really, really good manager. Now, Moyes, unfortunately, as good as he's been, is kind of like one level, and what have we been complaining about? If there are things that we've been complaining about throughout the season, it's been more about him playing the same system, the same team, whether we play, a team at the bottom of the league or a team at the top of the league, and he rarely changes that. And the only time he changed that was not by force, but because he wanted to, was the Chelsea game when he brought Noble in. And a good manager would look at Allaire and go, how can I adapt my system to fit this player to get goals for us? And he hasn't done it. All he's said is it's my system. This is the system I'm going to have. It doesn't matter who we're playing. And Allaire, you've got to fit into that system. And Allaire,
I'm reading some of the comments in the chat, obviously, and some people were saying about Allaire running and he doesn't run enough and whatever. It's not Allaire's game. If you watch Allaire when he was at Frankfurt, he sat in the pocket. If anything, Allaire is actually more of a false nine. He likes to drop deep. He's not, and he likes it played to feet. Now, we have to understand, not all big strikers want it lumped up in the air, and they don't want to have to compete. He's actually a very, very silky player. Like, he's very good on the football, and he probably wants it played into feet. There's been a few occasions, like, I think Cess actually put a video up of Allaire, and it was like, if we play to his strengths, this is what he can do. And it was one where he received it to feet in the midfield, and he dinked it over the top, and Antonio ran onto it. He didn't score a goal, but he put him through. He shot. It was forced a good save. That's the thing. You're making a really good point there. Still, for me, we've lost Masuaku, we've lost Antonio. Now you've got to look at it, and you can't just go, right, Allaire, you've got to do what Antonio does. You can't do that, and you can't go, Creswell, I need you to do what Masuaku does, because those players can't do those roles. So what you've got to then do is go, right, so how can I still get the best out of this team, play to their strengths? And for me, I've already said it, tuck Benrahma and Bowen in close to Allaire, let him drop in. Them two are so quick, they'll get in behind defences. You've just got to adapt, and unfortunately, I think Moyes is so set on his 5 at the back, or his 4-2-3-1 3-1. Like, he's so set on those formations, but they just don't work for not just Allaire, but they don't work for some
players as well. They don't work for Cresswell, you know, and you know, people worried about Cresswell having to go back to playing 4 at the back. And what's the best position Cresswell's been playing when we've had a 3 at the back? And
he has, but to give credit where credit's due, he's been all right the last couple of games. I've not fault. I can't really particularly fault him in the last couple.
I'm not saying for a minute he's been bad, but he's been more effective.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and
back to his old self.
Yeah. And maybe that's why Ben Rama got dropped against Chelsea, because he didn't think he was going to do a Masuaku job.
Yeah.
You know, so
if anything, the Haller one has to be blamed on whoever scouted him, in my opinion, because you can't go away, scout that player, and watch him do what he's doing at Frankfurt with 2 players next to him. You know, because equally they all scored as many goals. It's what earned Jovic's move to Real Madrid as well. You can't be scouting that and thinking, right, yeah, you know what, we bring him in at West Ham and stick him up there on himself, it'll work, because it won't. It's poor scouting. At the end of the day, you've got to feel a bit sorry for the lad having to do the job he's doing, because it's not.
But was that signing not? When I look at all those signings in those last couple of summers, were they not signings to appease the fans rather than fulfilling the jigsaw?
Yeah, definitely.
Which is
so money spent, isn't it?
So we've. I mean, if you think back of our history of our strikers, it's not a great history of strikers, because it doesn't matter who you've brought in. I can't think the last striker we've played to their strengths, unless you have made a striker, i.e. Arnautovic or Antonio.
Which is why we've gone through so many strikers over the years. Me and Russ were having a joke about this when I did my West Ham 11. You know, like, it was so obvious the strikers I was going to pick, because they were like the only 2 that have really done much in my life.
You know, it's. I think that whole summer we were going to get Maxi, weren't we? Maxi, all the way, and then we get someone completely different. Maxi didn't want to come to us. And it's almost like we've got to. You know, this money's burning a hole in our pocket, so we had to get Haller in. And what I think about Haller is he is a good player, and I think he's a better reactionary player than when he has time to think. You look at, like, obviously the bicycle kicks and when he's sort of his hold up play, you know, where he just literally twatted the ball into the goal for Sheffield United. When he's reacting, that's when you know when someone's a good player, because it 9 times out of 10 comes off. Whereas, you know, when he has time to think, i.e. Man United, when he was like literally one-on-one, and then he fell over his own feet, he was almost overthinking it. He's a reaction player.
But he's better when his back is to goal. And that's the point I suppose you're saying, Dan, in it as well. Yeah. Like, when his back is to goal, that's his strength. Like you said, he can gain the ball.
At Frankfurt, he played in the middle of a 3. I think it was Rebic and Jovic played with him. And he played in the middle, and he got double-figure assists as well as double-figure goals.
As well as double-figure goals.
Because he was the man there in that hole. You know, and German football is not easy. I watched the Bundesliga. That's not an easy league to be doing well in. But if you find a system, any player as well, this goes for any player, not just Allaire, you've got to find certain systems to suit certain players. They're just going to be uncomfortable being asked to do certain stuff. For me, at the moment, the club they're hanging him out to foul. They're hanging him out to dry. You know, like the only thing he can do at the minute is foul. You know, the fans, you know, you only have to go on social media on match day and there'll be half hour gone. 90% of the fans are like, get him off. Yeah. And I've been guilty of it myself. But for me, I want him off because he just doesn't suit the system. And we're a man down as a result, because he ain't going to do what Andy Carroll did. You know, he ain't going to jump and win all those headers.
No.
You know, because he's not that style of player. Just because he's big, and this is the trouble. I think a lot of fans get sucked into this. Oh, but he's a big lad. He should be doing more. No, just because he's big doesn't mean he's going to do that. You know, Erling Haaland, I'm not trying to compare him with Haller. Erling Haaland's 6'4". He's not a hold-up player. He gets in behind because he's got pace. It's different. Ronaldo's over 6 foot. And I'm not comparing, but every player has got their strengths and their weaknesses. But you do. And their layers, unfortunately.
He's a confidence player, and he's a confidence player as well, isn't it? Because, I mean, after that goal, after that bicycle kick, you know, he was running back, defending. He was in, you know.
And if you're shit, you don't do that, do you, Russ?
No, you don't. So, and he just had this sort of like, he's clearly a player who is confident. And he said, when you said about, you know, some players that need their arm around him, I don't think Haller's one of those players. I think he's a stubborn Frenchman, or stubborn Ivory Coastian. And so once, so I think he almost does things to prove, like that goal against Sheffield. I mean, that was his first ever Sheffield United goal, first ever goal outside the box, wasn't it, ever in professional?
Right. Yeah.
And so it's like, I can do that. It's in my locker. And I just think it's a shame because I think he is a good player. It's just, as you said, the system doesn't suit him. And he's sort of a round peg in a square hole or whatever it is.
It does happen though all the time when you think of West Ham though. You think we get so close to fielding the right side, and then maybe we come to like the next game and we think, for example, the Chelsea game, and we think, right, okay, Haller had a good game. Benrahma had a good game. Lanzini came off the bench. He played well. Now I'm quite excited to see what happens if they all start.
Yeah,
but they can't. And then because Lanzini picks up an injury, because Benrahma's dropped, and that's consistent. Yeah. Like it's a little bit like last season, or was it 2 seasons ago? For example, when Anderson played through the middle during that Christmas festive period,
and did well,
and was actually feeding Hernandez during that festive period. And then bang, the minute they put him onto the wing, it all changed again.
It all changed. It's interesting. I was just looking at the Maxi Gomez stats and wondering if he would have done any better. So his first season, the season that we were meant to sign him, 43 appearances, 10 goals. I mean, that's not much more than Haller's got for us. Because what did he get last season? 7 in the Premier League or something last season?
There is a but though to that stat though. Like we're sitting here as West Ham fans saying that we know Haller is a good player who can play in a good system. So another club will sign him, play to his strengths, and he'll go and bang the double assists and double goals. Now maybe when I look at Maxi Gomez, when we were linked to him, I thought, do you know what? He maybe is the sort of player that would work for West Ham. Where did he end up? Was it Seville?
Valencia.
Was it Valencia?
Yeah, Valencia. What I'm saying is, it's not that he's gone off and knocked it out of the park. So if we'd have bought him, would he have been any better? We don't know.
I think he would have suited our system more because he is more of a target man. I think he would have suited the system more. Might not have scored the goals, the same as because
So therefore, was it a desperation signing? Like one of you guys just mentioned now. Was it just to go and say, 45 mil, here it is, here's the striker you want?
The job you've got is some fans will look at the price tag and that's good enough for them. The board who we moan about week in, week out, they spent 45 million, so let's not moan about them for 6 months. That's what some fans are like. It's quite fickle, unfortunately.
Can you not remember the statement that David Sullivan put out to the fan base that day? I can't remember the exact day it was. It wasn't an apology. It was a kind of I'm just alerting you to the fact that I know that we've not done what we've done. Do you not remember this statement? And then within the following days, we threw money at players under Pellegrini. So we brought in Anderson, Haller. Who else did we bring in? I'm trying to remember. Diop. We spent money that summer.
We spent money over the 2 seasons, over the 2 summer transfer windows with Pellegrini in. We spent a lot of money. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of it goes to our scouting system. Did we spend the money on the right players? That's the thing.
But I don't really know if it did come down to the scouting system because we all know the setup at West Ham and how transfers are done. And for me, this is not about being bored out or bored in right now, this conversation right now. But when we spent that money then, it was 3 years too late. So it was just bringing in players to appease the fans. So I'm not saying I wasn't excited when Henderson signed. I'm not saying I wasn't excited when Haller signed. But was Haller, it must have gone through some of our back of our minds going, if we just play Haller in the system that we're currently playing and don't support him, it's not going to work.
Do you know the irony? If Anderson and Haller were playing this season, with Haller sitting just behind him, with Anderson sitting just behind him, I reckon they would have been dynamite. It's like we said last season when Anderson was playing centre attacking midfield. I remember being at the Arsenal game last season. We lost the game, but coming out of Highbury and saying Anderson looked dynamite because he just, he was like centre mid and he was just running at their defence, and they at the times they couldn't handle him. And I think it is sometimes about confidence as well. And I know people are going to laugh at me saying playing Anderson and Haller together would have made a difference. I reckon it would have been an option that a good manager would have utilised. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, I don't think you're wrong at all.
Yep. What else are we? Well, we've made a signing. A signing that we were supposed to do in the summer. Still, you know him. You've done a little chat about him. Do you want to explain to the fan base who he is?
Alva Simpson, 21-year-old central defender from Silkeborg. The under-21 Denmark. I think he's an under-21 Danish international. Originates from Brazil, but how do you say, naturalized or whatever? He's moved to Denmark. He's become a citizen there, so he represents them at under-21 international level. He's coming for just over $1 million. People, I love it, because I don't use Twitter, but sometimes I go in on the Irons United Twitter account and just look, and people are saying, "What a great signing! What are this? What are that?" Mate, he's going to play in the under-23s. That's where he's going.
Well, he's not right now because they're bloody isolating, aren't they?
They are, but
I didn't know anything about him.
Well, be honest. I mean, I only know about him because I do the research for the transfers, and I came across this player and I thought, who is he? And I looked up who he is, what he's about, etc. And I can only go by what I've read. I've never seen him play. I've even tried to look for, sometimes you can see YouTube videos on a player, etc. Can't find much on him. And Silkeborg, I think, only just came up from the second division of the Danish league. I think last season, something like that. So he's only been playing sort of what they would call top level. I think only this season. And all of a sudden he's going to be our saviour. He ain't going to be our saviour. He's probably not going to play for the senior team for probably a season and a half or two before we actually see him break into the team. So it's one for the future, and I think Moyes has kind of said that already. I think in yesterday's the interview that Moyes did or whatever, that he's nowhere going to be nowhere near the first team. And it's interesting. Someone mentioned Cardozo. Apparently, Cardozo's on his way. Do you remember when we signed Cardozo under Pellegrini? He was going to be our, the next big thing. And he went, and everyone was talking about how he was Premier League ready. He's not played a Premier League game. He's not even been on the bench.
No, he's made an appearance. Was it in the League Cup?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. And from what I saw, I wasn't massively impressed. Albeit it was one game though, so it's pretty harsh to judge someone on that. But Dan, you make a point. Everyone makes a point about the whole kind of Moyes, what he wants to do at the club, bringing the younger players. But we've got plenty of youth players there, and we still aren't bringing them through as much. And still, I know you've been talking a lot about the goalkeepers. We've got 2 goalkeepers there. Anam signed a new contract. Fabianski's getting on a bit, and we've got a couple of goalkeepers in there. We don't do what a lot of clubs in Europe do, which is give younger goalkeepers a chance. But generally, we don't really give a lot of our younger players really a sniff at anything. And surely there are players there. Yeah,
but just because they're there doesn't mean they're good enough, does it?
But that's the point. What I'm trying to say is, do we believe then that currently our youth system isn't working because we're not producing players that can step through?
I think we are. I mean, we've. I think the couple of Carabao Cup games we had this season, we were littered with good play. I think the boy Ashby got injured, didn't he? And Alessi, he was obviously in the pre-seasons. I know you liked him particularly. And speaking up, we interviewed Kev Keane a while ago, and he was saying that there's a really good crop of youngsters coming through, and you get that sense. And I think we've just said Moyes wants to do this Leipzig model, and he's just bought a young player. He's just bought a young player who's it's not a lot of money. It's a bit of a punt by the looks of it. And he could be good, and if he is good, that's great. I think there'll be a lot of them. I think getting these youngsters in, you've got to develop your under 23 squad, and I think the fact that we've got these sort of new protocols with concussion, and it means our match day squad will be bigger and stuff like that. You think it means, obviously, unfortunately, we had to put Davy Martin as the second. It would have been filled up with probably another under 23 player, but they're all self-isolating. And I think you'll get more and more of them on the bench coming through because it gives you options. And I think at the moment, we're still in survival mode. I know we're not, we're quite all right at the moment, but we're in survival mode. I think let's get to that magic number. and then bleed some players in. Then in terms of
but see, I get that to a certain extent. But now I look at the number of the substitutes that we can have on the bench, and I don't know. Like I think of what I saw enough in Baptiste and Alessi to think that they've definitely warranted being involved in the matchday squad of some sort. Definitely, when I've looked at the bench sometimes and I've thought, really, like, and I this maybe comes down to the expectations of West Ham managing egos. Like, we're still, is that our biggest problem? Can we manage players that come with high expectations? And then, for example, if Diop isn't in the matchday squad and Alessi is, will Diop go off in a strop? And vice versa for any of the players in the squad. If they don't make the squad, if Yarmolenko's not in the squad because we bring in someone else, is that because West Ham can't manage egos? Because other clubs can start to bleed this talent through, and maybe
I mean, Yarmo's a classic example. Him and Craig Dawson, they got them. They put themselves into the under-23 squad, didn't they? Because they weren't playing and stuff. So they want game time, obviously. I think it's one of those things where it's the same as every football club. You are managing egos as well as development of players, and I think actually our team's not that bad. As you said, you look at some other players. You look at our Arsenal imploding and stuff like that at the moment. As Dan said, I don't think I can't remember a team with that sense of togetherness for a long time at West Ham. And also, to be fair, with Moisey, he's got a plan. And although sometimes people might be critical of that plan because he doesn't deviate from it too much. You think the Bilic years, Pellegrini years, there was no plan. There was no plan. To be honest, the last person after us, after Moisey, would have been Big Sam for plan. To be honest, he had a plan. He knew what he was going to do. He brought the players in. He got promoted. He knew what he was going to do. We might not have agreed with the plan, but then that next year we were sort of 8 to 12. I don't think we dipped from 12th that season. Just been promoted. And that's what Moyes is doing now, giving that solidity, which I think we need. And if it means bringing in and blooding in the youngsters as and when, we know he wants to. I think it's I'm a happy hammer at the moment, which is nice.
I think the irony is the last two managers you just mentioned there, Russ, Bilic and Pellegrini, probably pandered to the egos more than someone like Moyes would. Yeah. Moyes is like, you do it my way, or you're not going to be here, and whereas what Pellegrini I think did, and certainly Bilic, we know Bilic did, he did pander to the egos. He was never going to drop any player if they were slightly under par. Yeah. They were playing week in, week out, and I think the only player I could say that I think Moyes has done that to. Was when he came back for his second spell and he dropped Fornals, who was in form, and he played Lanzini, who was not in form, because he was thinking, well, the last time I was here, kept playing Lanzini, but then he kind of thought, it ain't working. And he finally changed. He finally did. I don't know how many games it took him to do so.
It was a few.
Yeah. And I mean, with Slab, I mean, and that's why, he's obviously got promoted and he obviously got a job at the moment, and I think that's part of the reason, because I think as an international manager he was great because they were all egos, and you had to just pick the best 11 players in Croatia, Croatian players. That's all you had to do really. Whereas when you had that long term, and he was very good at galvanising team. He wants everyone to be his mate, and he had a real team spirit. And at West Ham he got that sense, and at West Brom as well you got that sense. When the chips are down, and it's not working quite well, as you said, because he's their mate, he's not going to turn around and chat at them. And I think that's why I think he hasn't really performed at a club in the Premier League consistently.
And I think Bilic did have a plan, but his plan left in January of that season.
Yes.
Because the minute
you can just see big whiteboard. It's got his big whiteboard with just Payet and then on it. Plan B
is blank. It's like, I don't care who else plays, just give him the ball.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, because who's going to ever forget that season when Payet, did he put in a transfer request, or the fact that he was unhappy or whatever, and Bilic looked like a man lost, if you remember.
It was in the back of the Euros, wasn't it?
Yeah. And you could just see from there, you're absolutely right, Russ, he didn't have another plan. It was all about Payet. And it wasn't about will he ever go? What happens if he gets injured, etc., etc. It's just like I've got Payet, and that's all I need. So you're absolutely right, mate. It was there was no other plan bar that.
Thinking back to that Euros, though, I mean, how proud were you as a West Ham fan watching him performing for France to that level?
Yeah, but the trouble is, in the back of your mind, as a West Ham fan, you're like, shit, he's going to be
Where's he off to?
Yeah,
I know,
the minute
I
a
know,
player
but-
starts
Yeah, it's the Glenn
being funny,
Johnson
mate.
syndrome.
Every
It's the
time
Glenn
Declan
Johnson
Rice steps on the football pitch at the minute, I shit myself. Because he just doesn't play a bad game, and it's his price tag is obviously getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But it's only a matter of time before someone goes, "There you go, West Ham," and our board go, "Thank you," and he's off.
It's almost as if you, not that you wish it, but it's almost as if once in a while you want him to have a real duff game.
Honestly, you want him to have a stinker, don't you? Just one game, just have one off game, like get sent off or something so you can't play the next three. Just because honestly, it's awful because he's so good. Like he's ridiculous how good he is.
Yeah. Even a stinker for Deck is a 7.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's
Head
that
and
good.
shoulders above everybody else.
Some of his passing on, the Chelsea game was just phenomenal.
And that's the thing, though. Like, we genuinely have a bit of banter in here as well, and we talk about, we'll try and wrap it up unless you just want to keep going all night long. But I mean, I've got 2 kids under the age of 4. I really want to get their Christmas sorted if I can. But
you're the one that came on late, mate. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10.
It's a valid point. But if we're talking about the season in a nutshell, season stops now. Who's your hammer of the year? Not to you, Still. I'm only joking. Still, we know who you're going to choose. We know who you're going to choose. Come on, Still.
Honestly and truly, I mean, Declan is playing out of his skin. Well, not. He's playing brilliantly. He's not even out of. It's just like he's a consistent. He's a Mr. Consistent, isn't he, Declan?
Mr. Consistent, top fucking player.
Yeah, but for me, honestly and truly, and I know you're going to laugh at me, Anton, but
I'm not going to laugh at you.
For me, Angelo Ogbonna, for me, is the stalwart of that team. He much maligned over the seasons, and for me, for the last 2-3 seasons, I mean, he's become a rock.
You've got. Sorry, I need to let you finish. No, I need to let you finish.
No, that for me, because he's been consistently good throughout the.
Look at Anthony's face.
The only part I want to laugh at. The only part I want to laugh at is 2 or 3 seasons. That's when Still goes too far.
This is where we do disagree, but because for me, he's been better than that for longer than that. But you just really don't think he has.
No,
you keep talking about
he's definitely been our best centre back for the last 2 seasons.
Yes, and I struggle to. This is not this. Dan, welcome back, mate. Are you ready for this? Are you fucking ready for this? This is the point I'm trying to make when it comes to Oggy. I struggle to give anyone. He's the best centre back of a bad bunch last season.
See what I mean?
I'm sorry, but last season I couldn't give West Ham credit last season, whereas I can give West Ham credit this season, and I can give Oggy credit this season. But for me, it's Declan Rice.
A good defender is even when we're playing bad, and he's still managing to be a good defender. And for me, in a bad team, he was still a good defender. That's the difference for me. You don't just judge a player just because we're having a good season. You have to judge a player when we're having a bad season.
I judge the player based upon the decisions that they make. And between him and Diop and Balbuena, it was a shit season for them. He was the best of a bad bunch. That's what it came down to. But this season's completely different, because I do genuinely believe that there's been a change. If you talk about Pierce coming in, I think they've realised that they can't play Oggy and Diop together. They're too similar. They step out, they do all that sort of stuff. And if you're going to get the best out of one or the other of those players, it's got to be because you're playing someone like Balbuena, who's a little bit more calm on the ball. He can collect the ball. He can sweep up any mess, etc. He allows Oggy to jump forward and go like a bull in a china shop and head the ball away and all that sort of stuff, knowing that Balbuena's going to be there to sweep up behind him, where Diop never done that. That's not Diop's game. So, but credit where credit's due. I think Oggy has been our by far best centre half this season. So there you go, mate. There you go. But for me, this season so far, if we go by what we've seen, I mean, and I said this recently. I said sometimes I think people I don't think people dislike Rice, but you try to remove the hammer of the year from Declan Rice just because they want to maybe see someone different. But for me, he is performing at above the standards of the levels, above and above.
He's maturing.
He is unbelievable.
The armband's helped.
And I've got to be honest, we haven't discussed this, but I do not like the fact, and I know it's out of respect, but I do not like the fact that when Noble comes on the pitch, he gives him the armband.
Oh, You've been wearing it. I'm so glad someone's got the same opinion as me. Mate, I said this to one of my pals the other day, and he was like, "It's Noble. I don't care. Yeah, Noble gets the armband." I was like, "I don't give a shit. Like he's captain."
You've been wearing it for 80 minutes. You wear it for the last 10.
Yeah.
No, I don't get it. Okay, when Noble started the other day, fair enough. He takes the armband from the start of the game, but not when you've been playing with the armband on for 89. I know it's about respect. I get all that. But, if Rice can lead the team for 80-odd minutes, he can lead the team for the final 10, so... But,
Russ, what about your hammer of the year so far?
Well, I think you can't go past Declan Rice. It's very much Scott Parker-esque, isn't it, I think? Where it was just like, it was sort of written on the cup already. The only second one would be Soufal, just because of the impact he's made. Having done, God knows how many Miami's 11 interviews, and everyone, when it comes to right back, it was, we haven't had very good right backs, unless obviously they were old enough to see Ray Stewart play, or Tim Breaker. He's the best right back I've seen.
Or Guy Demel.
Or Guy Demel. 5 o'clock. My hammer's 11. The bell. He was all right, wasn't he? He was good. He was all right. He did the job. But I think Soufal is brilliant. And for the money, £5 million quid over. He's absolute bargain. Absolute bargain.
Yeah.
And that's who I'd say number 2.
I'm on the same bus as Ross. So I didn't know it, but no, honestly, Rice is obviously head and shoulders above everybody. Yeah. Like he's the best player at the club, simple as. And he does it every single week. Every single week. He's been given the armband. I think he likes that added responsibility. We should have given him a new contract. I think we said this, didn't we, Ross? We discussed this. I said in the season, Rice should have been given a long-term contract, given the armband, and that's the way you say, he's our man. We're going to build the team around him. Obviously, the day's going to come. I think we all need to accept that the day will come. I don't think he'll be with us for his whole career, not unless something mad happens and
that's the thing,
billionaire comes in and buys up the club. But he may leave eventually. But while we got him, we've got to make the most of it. So you've got to. What you do is you offer him a new 5-year deal, mega money, protect the fee. He's got the armband. He's loving it at the club, and he's showing that on the pitch. But my outside one is Soufal. Definitely, he has been phenomenal. He's slowly becoming one of my favourite players. And the thing I love about him is he's as good going forward as he is defending.
Yeah. Mate, I done his transfer video, right, and I remember doing it, and I remember a lot of people making a comparison to the Trent Alexander-Arnold or the Robertson from Liverpool, and he's got that vibe of going forward. He can assist goals, he can track back, and he's got a really good whip of a cross on him as well. He's pacey, and that's what I like about him. He's offering us such a difference in that position, and it's really, really nice to see.
He is Wan-Bissaka, but with the ability to get a ball in the box. Wan-Bissaka is a phenomenal defensive fullback, but he can't attack. Whereas Soufal has got that ability. Like he shuts up shop. The amount of wingers I've seen it try and face up against him. The amount of times I've seen players do it to him this season, he just sticks a foot in. He knows his anticipation's so good. Such a good player.
We need to thank
£5 million quid.
Yeah, we need to thank one man for that, Agent Souček. And hopefully Agent Souček works his magic, and maybe we bring in someone else from Slavia Prague over the January transfer window.
Talking. It was a little thing he was talking about today, wasn't there?
Yeah, seen that.
And apparently there was a few players that he was basically saying to the club.
There's that 19-year-old Salah Nima, who it's his first full season for the senior team. 18 games, 13 goals. 5 assists or something like that. Taken the league by storm. But apparently, Matt was saying to me that, I don't know if it's true, on Twitter, someone messaged the Slavia Prague president and said, "Can we have Sima?" And he went, "No, not yet, because we're top of the league and we're still in the Champions League. Ask us in the summer."
I've not seen that tweet, but what I will say to you is that the Slavia president does engage with the fan base, and he massively spoke out about Sofal and Souček before they actually signed for the club, admitting that they were in the club doing their medicals and stuff like that. So there's probably something in that.
You know what I like about them too is the fact they always have a photo taken after the game.
Love it.
It's almost like that he's won a competition. You know, like Souček's won a competition, and he thanks, and it's like he has to thank Souček every game, and.
It's like one Polish builder getting another Polish builder a job on a site, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it kind of reminds me a little bit of like when Stell leaves the supporters club. He's looking around for all his fan base, thinking there's a picture with me, and then no one comes up to him. And he's like, "Damn it!
Finish it off on a sour note.
Damn it!
You have to finish it off on a sour note.
Christmas, come on, good will.
Listen, if you want me to finish it off on a sour note, the last question I've got for everyone is, and it's been genuine. I'm being genuine here. Calm the bean, Stell. Completely genuine.
No,
will Winston Reid come back?
No.
Or will he go away again?
He'll go away again. He'll go away on another loan.
Yeah, he's off.
Russ.
Mate, forget that ship has sailed, mate. That ship has sailed.
He's coming back, mate. He's coming back.
He's got his two. He's got his two that he likes at the end of the day. And then he's got Diop. He don't need Reid, does he?
Oh,
mate. We'll see.
I mean, how bad must it be for Craig Dawson to be ahead of Winston Reid in the squad? I mean, come on.
Listen, I'm having a bit of banter. Anyway, listen, we need to wish everyone Merry Christmas. So come on, Stell, give us a sing-song before you go.
All right. We wish you all a Merry Christmas. Thank you all for watching the channel. Sorry you've had to put up with Anton over the past season or so, because he comes up with so much rubbish. It's untrue. But there you go. Happy Christmas, everyone.
And anyone else got anything to say to the fan base that we have, all 7 listeners?
Just because you were late, mate. That's why.
Yeah, you were late. Too busy watching them doing karaoke on West Ham Fan TV. That's what they were doing. You won't even sing. You won't even sing now. No, it's. I hope everyone has a good Christmas. Obviously, it is a weird Christmas, but stay calm, sit down, eat mince pies. That's my mantra.
Are you going to do how to make a mince pie, or have you done that already?
Oh, obviously, because you watch every one of my videos. Still,
Mate, I'll tell you what. When I'm working, do you know what I do sometimes? Because I'm working from home. Yeah. Sometimes, and I see an alert come up going, Russ is locked down or not locked down, and I'm thinking, what's he going to cook now? And I think, okay.
We've done quizzes. We did last week. We're doing quizzes, Christmas quizzes, which has been good fun. And no, it's good fun. I won't do mince pies.
I tell you what, though, Russ, what you'll get to know Stell, because you'll realise that he has notifications on for his own show, and when he watches his show, he watches his own show back like several times.
I'm such a wanker. You really are.
I've never watched one of my videos. And someone mentioned it the other day. It's like I never watched one of the videos back. It's really weird. It's like, once it's in, once you recorded it, it's recorded. Dan's probably the same. There's live streams and stuff. You don't obviously watch. You're building your stuff for 2 hours.
Well, on that actually.
Hang on.
On that, what's this?
Oh, what's that? Came and went.
Who was it?
Was there another Dan coming on there?
Once, if you ever get a chance, it's actually hilarious. You need to, Dan, I said to you, mate, when you were on the show recently, go back and look at some of our first videos.
Mate.
But to be fair, they're actually okay. But, I was sitting one day and I was having a bit of a laugh and I thought, do you know what? I'm going to have a look at Stell's first video.
Oh, I know I was shit. I'm still shit now.
Mate, I'm not saying you were shit. It's like looking. It's like a total whole new human being. It was brilliant. And I was talking to you still about it the other day, and there was once you'd done a video outside, and the wind was blowing your camera to the side. Yeah. But then I go back to all the videos when people were saying to us, remember, they were like, we can't hear you, the volume's shit, or you're crackling, and we were using OBS and the fucking screen was lagging all the time, and it was just like, oh my God. This, honestly, Russ, right at the start, for the first year, I mean, I think, Dan, for the first 6 months, it was maybe an okay start. I think we'd done okay, apart from the fact we had shitloads of spelling mistakes.
But we had to rely on your internet.
Well, no, we didn't. For the first 6 months, mate, it wasn't even me.
We had
Alex.
Alex,
yeah.
We had him, and we used his internet, because he used to just do it, press live, didn't he? And then he'd disappear. and then everyone would do their show, and then he'd come back when we were finished. And then, but then obviously he started off. We had to use your internet, and your PC don't even know how to open OBS.
No,
does it? I don't think.
No, but now I've upgraded. So
no.
I've upgraded.
Yeah,
I've not.
He's been to PC World and he's upgraded.
No. That was the problem. I went to bloody Argos about a year ago or 2 years ago, and I thought I said to the woman behind the desk. I said to the woman behind the desk about 2 years ago. I was like, I do this thing and I need to get a computer that can stream. She's like, yeah, just buy that one. So I bought it, and I came back, and within 2 weeks I realised it was totally defunct, pointless. Couldn't use it. It just couldn't handle anything really on the system.
It's weird when you watch videos back though. You're so self-conscious when you start doing this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
you don't realise just how like on edge and stuff you are. But, obviously, I do all this for a living now, sitting on bloody podcasts and like do all the audio and stuff. So I'm just used to it. But if you're not, it is a weird thing to do.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Look, give me a few more years, I might start look for. I know I'm shit, so but I enjoy doing it. So that's
can't be that shit still.
Well, it's just about to go, mate.
Yeah, I know. I saw, and you was gonna. So I jumped off. Then I came. Then I looked at the YouTube, and you was banging on about mince pies. What are you guys talking about? Seriously, what are you guys on about? Someone had to come in and just tell you to sort it out. Mince pies.
How are you?
How is everyone? You all right? Yeah, not bad.
Yeah,
yourselves?
good. Yeah,
good,
not
mate.
bad.
Good,
not
mate.
bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Just
Dan, you literally.
Goodbye.
Yeah, literally. But I mean,
well,
have you got anything you want to add?
Now, so you can leave me alone for a month. So I've done one. I'll see you in January.
Actually, just while we're on, if you haven't saw Dan for a while, Dan's kindly offered to do the match day live for the Brighton game, so he'll be on with us on the 27th. So make sure you keep an eye out for that.
Are you?
Is that me being dropped in it, or is that Fan Dan?
No, that's you. That's both of you's actually been dropped in it. It was aimed at you, Dan Love.
All right, we'll see. We'll see what happens. See if I can get a pass.
Yeah, definitely. We know you're under the thumb anyway.
Says Anton. Says Anton.
Yeah, I admit it though.
The thing is, mate, you don't admit it. You pretend that you've got the missus sorted out, but we all know.
Yeah,
the minute.
I know.
Yeah. No. She's sitting next to you.
No, she's actually in bed. Thank God. Right. Listen, it's been a crazy year for, I suppose, our channel. I suppose you could say it's been going well, and we've put a lot of effort into what we're doing. So thank you so much for everyone that's been subscribing, watching, viewing. And also, like, one of the big things we look at is the analytics in terms of the watch time, and we get really, really good numbers in terms of the watch time. We get the fan base sticking with us, and that's something we've really enjoyed doing. So, really, really thank you so much for watching it. And do you know what? I'll be brutally honest with you guys. There's been a time, and probably in the last year, that I was like, I'm going to give this up totally. And I think still you were, yeah. But we've kind of come back with an vengeance. Dan's like, nope. But we've come back with a vengeance.
You're not doing it. Yeah, I said you're not doing it. What you need to do is you need to get some mugs for sale. And if you ain't bought a mug yet, you need to buy a mug. Or he just might pull the plug. Buy a mug or pull the plug. It's a threat.
And look out for the forthcoming beer glasses as well. So
yeah.
See, look at all the nods. It's like, that sounds good.
Yeah.
It's not like we drink, though, is it?
Stop the tea mug. Get the bloody beer mugs in. Beer glass.
Well, you've got one for morning, one for evening, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. That's true. But no, that's a genuine note. So cheers for tuning in, and of course head over to Russ's channel, My Hammers 11.
Yes.
Hit the subscribe button and go and have a little mess around with Russ's.
You can watch me and Stell. We've been on there.
Yeah, and we've had loads of.
Take it, Dan. Did you not watch mine then, mate? No.
Of course I didn't. You like shit players. Like, why would I watch yours,
mate?
Better.
Mate, I played
what was your answer for everything Winston Reid?
Listen, Russ. I think I named a player. I've named a couple of players that are, they're definitely up there, but not many people chose.
Yeah.
No, but not many people. Mark Vivian Foley.
Give you that one.
Yeah, but not many people would have chosen him because they kind of forget you have one season wonders and people kind of forget about those season wonders.
Then you did put him side by side with Marco Boogers, so you know.
Yeah, all right, mate. Yeah.
It's not that people forget the one season wonders.
I'm trying to get him on. I'm trying to get Marco on. I'm trying to get
Marco Boogers
on.
Have you found him yet? Have you found him?
I found Marco Boogers. Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, I found Marco Boogers.
That would be
his caravan.
Yeah. He seems quite sane. I don't know. I'm a bit worried, but yeah.
Mate, that would be worth a watch.
Marco Boogers in. That's it. Maybe I'll hold on to that. It could be the 500th.
It will seem sane until he gets his name on a contract.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the old stress settles in.
So like I said, go over to My Hammers 11, subscribe to Russ's channel, head over to Know the Score podcast, which is run by Dan and his brother and another one of their mates. Really good, knowledgeable Premier League. Yep. Really good, knowledgeable Premier League content and good content. And of course, subscribe to West Ham United. And you never know, there could be some new merch coming soon.
Here we go.
Yeah, but they've started us on it, mate. They've started us on it. They've asked us for it, and now we're just
get the beer glasses in and forget everything else for now, mate.
Okay. Yeah, we want hats and socks,
face masks,
handkerchiefs,
boxers,
ball gags.
You watch the next video you do, you'll be in like head to toe merch.
Yeah, that'll be there on Sunday. Stell will be there, like a hat all the way down, face mask, everything. Irons United.
Stell's looking out for a onesie.
What Irons United onesie?
Yeah, onesie. We'll get Razvan Rat and Adrian to start to take pictures of it again.
And I've actually got that onesie. I've got that onesie.
You got that onesie?
Yeah, I've got that onesie.
Right,
anyway. Now, yeah, exactly. I've been Anton. He's been Stell. He's been Dan. Fandango. He's been Russ. He's been Dan. This is West Ham United, and come on, you Irons. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.